Hi, today I am giving my review of the first volume of Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. I say the first volume because this is a series. I believe it is considered a graphic novel series. It is young adult romance between two high school boys. I do want to read more romance, but I'm picky with some of it. But I do think I generally enjoy it more if it's between two guys. So there are definitely some more books on my TBR like that. I believe there are 5 volumes in this series, and I think there is going to be a 6th and final one. This is the first book by this author that I have read, and I'd heard about this. I know it's pretty popular. I believe there is a Netflix TV show adaptation of Heartstopper. I have not watched that, but I might in the future. I don't watch a lot of TV and movies, especially TV because it's longer, but sometimes I will if I'm interested enough in it. And I think there are some points in my life where I'm more likely to watch movies and TV, and some points where I'm not doing that as much. For the most part, I just read, but I am open to those things as well. I don't never do them, but they're not my favorite preferred form of media. I want to explain the origin of these two main characters. So these two main characters' names are Charlie and Nick, and from my understanding, they first appeared in Alice Oseman's novel Solitaire. Solitaire is from the perspective of Charlie's older sister, and I think at that point in the book, Charlie and Nick are already a couple. So the events of Heartstopper, at least in the first volume, take place before the events of Solitaire, maybe by a year or two. But it seems that Heartstopper has become its own thing where you don't need to read Solitaire first. At least I didn't, but later in this video I will get into other books by this author I want to read after having read this one. So in Solitaire, Charlie and Nick are side characters, but in this book it is about them specifically. Although it is mostly from Charlie's perspective. There are some scenes from Nick's perspective, but it is mostly from Charlie's. So this takes place in England, which I didn't realize until over 100 pages in, but it does take place in England. I believe the author is English. And these characters go to an all-boys school. So Charlie is the main character, and in this book I think he's 14 or maybe 15, somewhere in high school. So Charlie is pretty popular. He's pretty well known at school. He is openly gay, so everyone already knows that about him. He is still shy and anxious sometimes though, as is normal. And then the other character is Nick, who he meets in one of his classes at school, and this book is very much about their friendship and just them interacting with each other. There are more books in the series, so I assume the relationship will eventually escalate, but for now, this is just about when they meet and their first few, I think, months together. There are a few time skips across months. I'm not sure at what point of Heartstopper does it reach the events of Solitaire. Maybe all of Heartstopper takes place before the events of Solitaire, but I'm not quite an expert on this universe. So as I said, Charlie is already openly gay, but Nick is not. Nick is not quite sure of his identity, and so that is something that he does explore in this book, kind of questioning it and doing research and feeling unsure about that. I think that this book does a great job with showing a lot of feelings that young people have, especially when it comes to anxiety and being confused about who you are and who you want to be, and just about the difficult, complicated feelings of being young and figuring things out. I enjoyed this. I liked a lot of things about this. I've heard that none of the romance in this series is very explicit, so that is nice. That is something that is preferred by me. I know that's definitely the case in this first book. This book did a good job at addressing some stereotypes about gay people, and when it comes to a book addressing stereotypes, for example, when I read A Kind of Spark by Elle McNichol, which is about an autistic girl, it dismantled some stereotypes about autism, and I think it was good because the narrator could have just randomly said something, but instead they used it as an opportunity where somebody said something and then a character responds to it. So I think that was done well. There are things like that in Heartstopper too. There was definitely some drama in this, so I'm letting you know that in case you are or aren't interested in that. I thought some of the characters were interesting. I felt that they weren't the most developed ever, but it is just the first volume. I assume the characters and their relationships with each other will develop more later on, but they were okay. I don't think I absolutely loved the characters, but I did like the main two, which is important, especially when it's a romance about the two, and I think I liked the others a little more as well, but I am looking forward to learning more about them. I'm looking forward to learning more about Charlie's older sister, but it is mainly about the two of them. There was also at the beginning Charlie getting out of a relationship, if you could even call it that, with another boy, but the other boy was not really nice and kind of using him, and he goes more into that later. But yeah, so he's currently struggling with that, so that's what some of the drama is about. Characters are always very important to me in a book, even in a graphic novel. I want to know things about them, and I felt that this book did teach me when it came to the main two characters about their families, their home lives, their interests, their hobbies, the kinds of social groups they were in, and their personalities. So I did feel that I learned about them, and I learned what they were like outside of school, which makes sense because some of the scenes are outside of school. So I learned who they were as people. Like, them as characters aren't just here two boys put them together, like they have interests beyond that. And also when it comes to romance, I can be picky with the way that it happens. For example, I dislike when it appears that characters just kind of meet and then get together just because they find each other attractive. I'm okay with attraction being what initially draws someone to a person, but eventually if you're with someone for a while, you have to have like some kind of connection in order to be together. So I was satisfied with the way it was handled in this book. I enjoyed the romance in this. I thought it was sweet and I thought that it was genuine. I think that it involved an actual connection and not just based on physical attractiveness or compatibility. Not that there's a lot of like physical stuff that happens in this. I'm just saying it wasn't based on that. I think the characters actually got along well and had reasons for liking each other and really connected based on the things they talked about and things they went through beyond just seeing each other and then they just start kissing. Like, that's not what happened. So I thought that the love in this was sweet, it made sense, and it was cute. Because it's a graphic novel, for me at least, it didn't take very long to read, but that doesn't mean that there's nothing to it. I think with what it had, there was definitely some development. I think there will just be more as I go on. If I talk about a graphic novel or comic, I want to comment on the art because that's definitely a big part of it. That's like half of it. So I think that Heartstopper has a nice art style. I'll find a page for you to show you an example of what it looks like. The cover is like full color, but that's not exactly what the art on the inside looks like. Usually graphic novels I see have like full color. This one's actually got a pretty interesting color scheme. It's pretty unique. I've never really seen anything like it before. It took me a little while to get used to, but now I think it's pretty much just what this series looks like. I don't know if it looks different later on, but I think it's become its own thing. I think it's become iconic in that right. I'm sure a lot of people really love it, and I think that it's just the Heartstopper art color scheme, I guess. So it's got this color scheme that's pretty much just this light green, white, and black, and those are the only colors on the inside. And I think it's nice. I think it gives a like soft tone to it, and I did find this story pretty wholesome, but that doesn't mean that it's just a bunch of wholesome, positive, happy things happening. Like I said, there is drama, so it's not like it's just happiness and unrealistic all the time. Like, it does have that, but it still has this, I think, kind of like warm, soft art to it. I think the art is really important with the message the author is trying to convey. The author did both the art and the words. So yeah, I liked the art. I don't read a lot of graphic novels and comics, but I'm open to reading more, especially because they don't take me very long to read. Not that I mind if a book does take me a while, but it is nice. And I felt that the art was good at expressing emotions, especially whenever words weren't being used. Most of this book is about the two interacting in person or interacting with other people, but there is a little bit of stuff that shows like their messages on their phones or computer and things like that, and so I enjoyed that. I think that was cool. I think that's something I'd like to see more in books, especially I'm interested in seeing the way that's done because it might look a little different, especially in a novel. There are some pop culture references as well, so I enjoyed those, and I felt that this book felt real in a lot of ways, and I think it was about some important things. Like I said, it does dismantle some stereotypes, but I also felt that this was about standing up for yourself. I feel like that's something I say about a lot of books, but it's not a bad theme or message at all. This book does end on a bit of a cliffhanger, although it does have a little sneak peek of a few pages for the next book, so that helps a bit. It does also have some nice little things at the end to help you learn a little bit more about the character, so that was a nice addition. That was a nice little touch. If you've read it, you might know what I mean. I look forward to seeing more of these characters and their relationship with each other, and some more of the side characters as well. Maybe there will be some side characters I really like. From what I remember after reading this, I don't think there were any side characters that I absolutely loved, but I'll learn some more about them. I thought that this was a good start to the series. I definitely want to read the rest. I currently have books 2 and 3 on hold. Someone's checking out book 4, but yeah, I totally plan on checking out the rest. I would like to read a lot of Alice Oseman's other novels as well. I would like to read Solitaire, the book where these two characters originated from, and some of her other novels as well. And I know she also has at least 2 novellas about Nick and Charlie, so I would like to read those too. Thankfully, a lot of her books are available through the library, so that's quite convenient. I look forward to seeing what happens next. Let me know if you have read Heartstopper, or maybe you've seen the TV show, or if you've read anything else by this author. I gave this 5 stars. I'm guessing I will probably like it more as the series goes on. Like I said, I thought it was a good start, and thank you for watching.